Good afternoon. Well, books of condolence have been opened at Garda stations right across the country as people paid tribute to Colm Horkin, the detective Garda shot dead in the centre of Castlerea in County Roscommon. The community there has been pulling together following the violent death of a man the Garda Commissioner said was beloved by locals. Well, Paul Quinn is in Castlerea this lunchtime. And Paul, a man is still being questioned in relation to this investigation.
Yes, Colette, well, the scene here in Castlerea remains sealed off this lunchtime. Most of the town remains inaccessible. Yesterday, I think there was a real sense of shock and devastation at the tragic death of Detective Garda Colm Horkin. Today, the reality of what's happened is really beginning to sink in here for locals. As you say, a 44-year-old man, is still being held here at Castlerea Garda Station, just up the road behind me. He was arrested, of course, shortly after the incident on Wednesday night. We know that Detective Garda Colm Horkin was shot a number of times by his own gun after it was taken from him during a struggle. Now, last night, hundreds of members of the town here gathered with local Gardaí for a short vigil to remember Colm Horkin. They gathered here in the pouring rain to say a number of prayers and to remember the man who was such a big part of this community. Now, today, members of the Gardaí have been carrying out door-to-door inquiries here in the town to try and establish exactly what happened, what led to the death of Colm Horkin on Wednesday night, and trying to see if they can gather more information that might help as part of their investigation. As I sense a real eerie sense here in Castlerea today, still a sense of numbness at what's happened. Members of the public have been coming here today, bringing flowers to the Gardaí that have been left here at the cordon. Other members coming with food for the Gardaí, and also others just coming to silently remember Colm Horkin for a couple of minutes. Attention now also focusing, turning to his funeral. A post-mortem has been carried out. We expect Colm Horkin's remains will be returned to his family in Charlestown in County Mayo at some stage later today. Gardaí and his family now trying to put together a state funeral for the Detective Garda, of course, against the backdrop of COVID-19. We know that when Tony Golden, the Gardaí, was killed, that around 7,000 members of the force turned out to that. So they're trying to see how people can pay their respects and say their goodbye to somebody who's such a big part of the communities here in Roscommon and Mayo.
Paul, thank you very much for that. The government is expected to announce later today that hairdressers and barbers will be allowed to reopen sooner than planned from their COVID shutdown. More details on revisions to the roadmap for emerging from the coronavirus emergency are due to be revealed after the Cabinet meets today. There could also be movement on other businesses, including gyms and cinemas.
Hairdressers and barbers have been working to make their salons safer in the hope that the government will bring forward the date that they can reopen. They should find out later today if this will happen. Under the current guidelines, salons weren't due to open until phase 4 of easing the lockdown restrictions on July the 20th. But it's widely believed this measure will be brought forward to phase 3, which begins on the 29th of June. The National Public Health Emergency Team has finalised recommendations to government on this and other measures, and the Cabinet will discuss this advice later today.
I know that business owners are saying what they need is just certainty, insofar as you can give certainty at a very uncertain time, because let's be honest, there's nothing certain about this virus. But what we're going to try and do today is map out what can open in phase 3, subject to the virus being okay, and what can reopen in stage 4. And I think what that'll do is provide business with a degree of certainty.
Last night it was announced that another 4 people had died as a result of contracting COVID-19. 16 new cases were also confirmed, although levels of the virus remain low. New analysis from the Central Statistics Office shows the number of people who have died from COVID-19 has fallen for the 8th week in a row. The number of confirmed cases has dropped for the 7th week in a row. Dublin continues to be worst hit by COVID-19, and it was the only county to record more than 20 new cases in the past 2 weeks. This is the 6th week in a row that Donegal, Laois and Kerry have recorded less than 10 new cases, and the 7th such week for Sligo and Waterford. As well as a decision on hairdressers and beauticians, the government is also expected to provide updates on cultural gatherings, cinemas, gyms and weddings later. An announcement on these measures is expected this evening after the Cabinet meeting has ended. Geraldine Lynagh, Virgin Media News.
Well, hairdressers and barbers have lobbied hard to get an earlier reopening date and took the initiative themselves to introduce extra safety measures on their premises to make that possible. And it appears to have worked, with the decision, as you heard, expected later, to allow them resume sooner than planned in the original government roadmap.
Both are eager to get back to their respective hair salon and barbershop in Ballincollig, Cork. Sisters Stephanie and Tanya say opening day can't come quick enough.
Very unusual, quiet, used to meeting people all the time, chatting all day. It's quite lonely when you're used to being in a busy shop all the time.
Perspex screens will be in place at Top Man by this Monday.
Our older clients in particular, they just come in for the chat, Paul. They're dying to get in here, I know it, you know. I've met a few of them on the streets. You know, it's just great. The service we give, it's just more than a haircut, you know.
Next door at Honey Brown's, fishing rods look set to be dumped and replaced with hairdryers and curling tongs.
Oh, I have a waiting list. I'm inundated with emails, up to 200-300 emails of people waiting to get on a list and getting in. But I mean, we will easily have 6-7 weeks work ahead of us back to back as soon as we open up.
Stephanie says customer safety is first and foremost.
Things seem to be moving really positively within the whole country. So look, we'll be wearing masks, we'll have all the appropriate gear, and we have all the hand sanitisers.
Across town, 86-year-old Michael O'Brien is missing having his short back and sides, as well as his chats with the Baldy barber.
It freshens you up, like, and I don't like long hair. I see fellas do with long hair. I know how this sticks. I'm nearly at me game with this.
Perfect, you should get an email confirmation now.
The Baldy barber is introducing an online booking system.
Now you finish your haircut, get the cash, your man is up on the chair before you even call him. Now you have to say, wait, you must wash down the chair, brush up the hair, put the hair away into a bin separate. I mean, I know one of our lads up the country, it's going to cost him $500 every 10 days for disposable hairdressing gowns.
Whatever the guidelines may be, razors and scissors are now being sharpened. Paul Byrne, Virgin Media News, Cork.
Well, while some sectors are hoping for movement on their reopening dates, the news isn't so good for those involved in travel in and out of the country. The 14-day self-isolation rule has been extended. Aisling, Ní Choisdealbha is at Dublin Airport for us this lunchtime. So, Aisling, disappointment for airlines and those hoping to travel in and out of the country.
Yeah, that's right, Colette. Dublin Airport is a very different place these days, a much quieter place than one would expect, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. The travel restrictions currently being in place now being extended until July 9th. That means anybody coming into the country has to fill out a mandatory passenger locator form, and they are also being asked to self-isolate for a period of 14 days. Now, many might think that that is the most difficult part, that self-isolation, but we've been speaking to a number of people flying out of the airport here this morning. There is some flights still flying out and arriving, and many of the passengers we spoke to this morning, they're all very much aware of the travel restrictions and all say they will self-isolate after arriving into the country.
Unfortunately, I'm a frontline worker, so I'm probably going to have to take off as well with them, but I don't know. It's just I haven't seen them in 6 months and I can't wait to get them back.
Yeah, definitely self-quarantine at home for 14 days and just, to protect family and everything.
Well, the airlines have been calling recently for these restrictions to be lifted, not extended, in a hope that the tourism industry here might get somewhat of a boost. But NPHET saying yesterday that we have seen a number of travel-related cases in the last number of days, which are a cause of concern for the country and for NPHET. Considering we've had a number of weeks without any travel-related cases, they are now under investigation. Simon Harris also saying within the last hour that now is not the time to ease these travel restrictions, which will remain in place now until July 9th.
Aisling, thanks very much for that update. So, what can we expect later from the Cabinet meeting? Richard Chambers is at Government Buildings for us this lunchtime. And Richard, it's not just the hairdressers and the barbers that the government is focusing on this lunchtime.
No, that's right, Colette. This is one of the biggest cabinet meetings of the lockdown so far. By the time this evening ends, we should have a much clearer idea of what's in store on June 29th and beyond as Ireland moves through the remaining phases of the reopening roadmap. Of course, there have been encouraging signs in terms of the control of the virus, the reproductive rate still below 1, and that's given NPHET enough encouragement to recommend the speeding up of that roadmap. Remember, it used to be a 5-phase schedule, now it's down to 4, and what we do expect, of course, as you've been hearing in previous reports, is that hairdressers, barbers and salons are expected now to open on June 29th. That's something a lot of people have been looking forward to. We also expect further clarity on social and cultural events, when they can take place. Of course, weddings is something which has been flagged as a concern for members of the public. There has been consideration given to when they can take place again and what sizes they will be when they do take place again. We understand there should be some clarity given to that. Cinemas, gyms, theatres as well are likely to have be part of this. They're all likely to be brought forward closer along the road on the roadmap. As well as that, I understand over the past number of hours, sporting organisations have been contacted about the resumption of contact training again, full contact training. So these are all under consideration. They'll all be discussed by the Cabinet over the course of this afternoon. Things set to be moving forward in time, as you heard there. Travel restrictions, though, not set to move in the short term, but we will know later on this evening what's coming and when it's coming as well, Colette.
OK, Richard, thank you very much for that. Well, as the impact of the COVID-19 crisis becomes more and more apparent, the share out of an EU recovery fund becomes more and more important, and the government will be making its case for a larger slice of the bailout. Well, a virtual summit of EU leaders is taking place today. Our economics correspondent Paul Colgan has more on this. So what's the Irish pitch going to be then, Paul?
Well, essentially the Irish pitch will be we could do with a little bit more money, Colette. What we think is on offer is roughly in the realm of between 2 and 3 billion euro in terms of new EU grants that would not have to be paid back and would come with no conditionality. But then you look at the scale of the crisis in this country. We're looking at a deficit this year alone of 30 billion euro, so 10 times the amount that might be available. And that deficit is necessary because we need to borrow money to spend on the health service and also the pandemic emergency payments and the wage subsidy scheme, because we're going to have stubbornly high unemployment in this country next year and possibly this year and next year as well. So the government's pitch is we're going to have very high unemployment. We might need a bit more of assistance here. That's the message to Europe. So those EU leaders met by video conference this morning in terms of finalising the bailout package. There's an additional 250 billion worth of loans on offer to EU member states. Ireland won't be tapping them, we suspect, because we have access to very cheap money on the markets due to the big ECB intervention. So there is a delicate balancing act, though. If we go looking for more money, we might meet demands from certain EU member states that we concede on certain tax issues. That's always been the difficulty, but we expect some sort of outcome today from this EU summit on that massive EU bailout fund.
Paul, thanks very much for that. The UK is reducing its virus alert level as the transmission rate continues to decrease. In Italy, a new study has found that the virus was present in 2 cities months before the first case was detected.
A major step in the UK's battle against the virus. The country today announced it's lowered its alert level from 4 to 3. The change means COVID-19 is in general circulation and allows social distancing to be relaxed. There's been a steady decrease in cases, but the country's chief medical officer is warning it does not mean the pandemic is over. It comes as the British government scrapped plans to launch its virus contact tracing app because of technical problems. Britain has the highest death toll in Europe at over 42,000. In the US, over 2 million people have been infected with the virus, but a leading government expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says he doesn't see the country returning to lockdowns. It comes as cases continue to rise in many states across the US.
It's not only the number of cases. This is being paralleled in many cities, especially in Houston, Dallas, Austin, Phoenix, with sharp rises in hospitalizations and ICU admissions.
Meanwhile, it's thought the virus may have been present in Italy long before it was first reported. The country was the first in Europe to confirm an outbreak back in late February. But researchers from Italy's National Health Institute have found traces of the virus in wastewater dating back to December. Elsewhere, Chinese officials say a coronavirus strain may have come from Europe. It comes after Beijing reported nearly 200 fresh COVID-19 infections. The country has shared the data with the World Health Organization amid pressure to make the findings public. More than 8.5 million cases of the virus have been reported worldwide. Aisling Roche, Virgin Media News.
Now, coming up next on the news at 12:30, empty pews, but a novena in Limerick is reaching out to the faithful online.
The Burke family saved €365 in 4 weeks with a big summer save at Lidl. And nothing says summer like Lidl's delicious fresh salad selection and our juicy in-season Irish strawberries, straight from McCarthy's farm in Kildare, just one of our many Board BA approved suppliers. The Burke family saved a sweet €365 in 4 weeks with a big summer save at Lidl, voted Ireland's most reputable supermarket in 2020. Find out more at Lidl.ie. Lidl, more for you.
Dad, how many moons does Jupiter have?
Well, Jupiter is one of the moonier of the planets. Let's see, there's Proton, Crouton, Oregano, Anagram. 79.
You can't know everything, but with Vodafone Gigabit broadband, you'll be up to speed with whatever the future throws at you.
Whoa.
Get unlimited connectivity at home with Ireland's fastest growing broadband provider.
Look who's back to tell you about Quote Devil's incredible insurance deals. Yes, you're on live TV. Home and contents insurance is now reduced to only €199, including accidental damage. Whoops. And you can get a quote in just 60 seconds. Car insurance starts at only €325. And we're specialists in young driver car insurance, cover for those with convictions or previous claims. 40% of people who call to better their car, van or home insurance renewal become our customers. So
call the Quote Devil for one hell of a quote.
Thank you very much. At Energia, we're the power behind 250,000 customers across Ireland. And right now, there's never been a better time to join us and save with our cheapest dual fuel bundle. Switch today and get the biggest savings when you come to us direct. Energia, the power behind your savings.
I think the monster's back, Grandad.
Oh dear, the one-eyed fella.
No, the ginormous green slimy one.
Where is he?
I think he's under my bed.
No, not the under here. We must have frightened them all.
The way we're connecting is changing. That's why at 3, we've removed usage limits from all-you-can-eat data. For all customers, forever. 3, make it count.
At Stena Line, we care about the things that matter most. It's the safety and well-being of our customers, our colleagues, and our communities. Thanks to our dedicated teams and our reliable ships, we're making every effort to ensure that freight and vital goods get to their destinations. We're here for the essential journeys. Stena Line, helping to navigate our challenging times. For more information, visit stenaline.ie or stenalinefreight.com.
I get mines every day, every week. Chicken wings to the crib, I'm sitting in J-U-S-T-E-A-T.
Somebody say just be. Is it working?
Katie, you're on mute. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Looking in your eyes, I see a paradise. This world that I found is too good to be true.
Hit it.
And we can build this thing together. Standing strong forever. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Same time tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
The surface can sometimes disguise what's really lurking beneath. Every time you brush, millions of germs still get left behind. Listerine kills 99.9% of germs and helps remove plaque even below the gum line. Swish daily to maintain healthy teeth and gums above and below. Complete the clean with Listerine.
Welcome back. The annual Redemptress Novena in Limerick usually attracts up to 100,000 people, but got underway today in front of an empty church. Churches won't begin welcoming back parishioners for celebrations of sacraments until June 29th. Our Midwestern reporter Eric Clarke reports.
Well, the 9-day annual novena has got underway here today. Normally, this novena attracts around 10,000 people a day to Mount St. Alphonsus Church here in Limerick. The theme of this year's novena is Hope in a Time of Crisis. And because of the COVID-19 crisis, the normally packed church pews remained empty this morning as the first sessions of this novena got underway. The Redemptorists are instead broadcasting 4 sessions a day online at at novena.ie. Of course, restrictions on mass gatherings remain in effect, but from June 29th, people will once again be able to gather for Mass, and parishes have been issued with framework guidelines on the safe return of the celebration of sacraments, including the likes of weddings, communions and confirmations, many of which were postponed during the COVID-19 lockdown. But because those restrictions will prove challenging for parishes, the Bishop of Limerick has put out a call for volunteers.
What we're saying is it's the parishes that are opening the churches again. And so there are people now in every parish, and we're looking really to make sure that there's loads of volunteers to help, who are going to make sure that the churches are really safe and people can come along. And we are delighted that we are actually at this point. But it requires a lot of work on our part to make sure everything is just ship-shape, the signage, the sanitisers, the social distancing measures. But, you know, there is an element of excitement about it too, because people want to do it right. But the big thing is that we would see it as a parish opening the church. Therefore, volunteers working together, coordinators, because it's going to be all hands on deck.
Annual religious pilgrimages have been another casualty of the COVID-19 crisis, including the Limerick annual trip to Lourdes. But once again, the Catholic Church is embracing technology to make those spiritual connections. From today, a virtual Lourdes pilgrimage is underway, with celebrations being broadcast live on the Limerick Diocese Facebook page.
Eric Clarke reporting that to Sport. Paul Pogba could play his first game of the year for Man United this evening. The midfielder hasn't played since St Stephen's Day because of an ankle injury, but he could return for United's game away to Tottenham in the Premier League. The fit again Harry Kane is set to start for Spurs. United go into the game 5th in the table, 4 points ahead of Spurs, who are 8th.
We've prepared as well as we can. We've trained well. The boys trained well over the lockdown. We've had a couple of in-house 11v11s, and we had one 11v11 against West Brom, which hopefully will stand us in good stead.
For me, after more than 2 decades in football, it's hard for me to say that something is new for me, but this is new for me. To play this first match after this period is new for me too.
Well, Rory McIlroy will be in a fight to make the cut at the RBC Heritage in South Carolina. McIlroy will resume today from 1 over par, with the projected cut falling at 2 under par. It's not going much better for the other Irish players. Shane Lowry resumes from 3 over, with Graham McDowell on 4 over. Ian Poulter is the joint leader on 7 under. Now, the Commonwealth Cup is the feature race on day 4 of Royal Ascot. You can see all the action from 1:30 here on Virgin Media 1. Now, you can always keep up to date with all the latest breaking news online. That's it for now. We'll have more on the news at 5:30.
QuoteDevil.ie can save you money on your home insurance, van insurance, car insurance or life insurance.
The Quote Devil's always got one hell of a quote.
Díomh going agus tá fáilte over Stockwell Níl an aimse garú le haide soran plenty of shares to take us through the weekend. A slight reprieve, a slight break on Sunday. Keep an eye on the 5-day forecast at the very end. Now, first up, we'll take you down to Castlebone. That's in County Clare. This is a 16th century tower house built by the McNamara's. Pat and Mary Cody have done a great job there on the restoration work. It is, of course, open to the public right across the summer access via Lough Derg, and those opening shots there coming in from Owen O'Hagan online, so do be sure to check it out if you're in the Banner County. Now, plenty of unsettled conditions with some heavy rain and blustery winds on the way right across the next couple of days. Valleys there at 17 degrees, and a big shout out to Luke Healy for that great lightning shot there down in Kerr in County Tipperary. Some hellos now this afternoon. Big hi to Jamie and Robin McCluskey out and about in Beaumont in Dublin 9 from Mum Gemma. Happy birthday to Fiona Kilboyle, she's 36. Ashford out west of Coote Mayo, that comes in from your pal Jennifer Hussey. And finally, big birthday wishes to Katie Montaigne, she is 12 in Stepaside in South County Dublin, enjoying the sunshine there in the back garden. That comes in from your mum Michelle and your little bro Tom, tuned away now this Friday afternoon. And unfortunately, not much in the way of sunshine if you're celebrating celebrating your birthday today. Although it looks like best out west. Lovely rays there through parts of Galway, Clare, Limerick, down across the southwest of Cork and into Kerry. West of the airflow in the driving seat today, values at 12 to 17. That sunshine will slip right across the day. So it will be a game of passing showers and hazy sunshine. Once again, best out west. Values to see out your Friday at 10 to 12. So across into tonight, mainly dry, mainly cloudy. We will see good clear skies for a time. So nice ease back from all that thunderstorm activity we've had over the last couple of days. Overnight lows there at 9 to 11. Falling back to about 5 to 6 into eastern spots. So it will be a beautiful sunrise onto the east coast tomorrow morning, passing showers down south. Across the day, the best of that sunshine really across Ulster and into eastern parts of Leinster. We will see that cloud build from the southwest, bringing with it rain for much of Munster and to Clarke through the Midlands, extending countrywide across the day. Moderate to fresh, often blustery southeasterly winds in the driving seat for tomorrow. Strong gales on the coast too. Values at about 17 to 18 degrees. Wet and windy for our islands as well. Best out west in terms of temperatures at 14 to 16. So in summary for tomorrow, a dry start, then rain from the west and then across the southwest, and values there at 18 degrees Celsius. And of course, that's where you'll find me if you want to feature your photos or indeed your videos. From me and the team, Biggie Cormac, Slán go fóill.
QuoteDevil.ie can save you money on your home insurance, van insurance, car insurance, or life insurance.
The quote devil's always got one hell of a quote.
Something not right down below? That itching and burning sensation. Don't be embarrassed to talk about thrush. It's a condition that affects 3 out of 4 women at least once in their lives.